What up, my dudes? Is Erode killing MX Simulator? Now, I know some of you guys out there would say it already has killed MX Simulator. Now, I'm not really sure I would go that far, but one thing I will say is it definitely hasn't helped the game, right? So, it's not like there's more people playing it now that we have Erode versus when we never even had any Erode at all. There was definitely more people playing it beforehand. So if you're looking at the numbers and you're just side by side comparing it, I mean, it definitely has not helped the game in that type of sense. So I think one big reason for that is just the simple execution of it, not so much what it actually is, but just how they went about integrating it into the game. I mean, there's definitely is some of it how it actually is, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the way that they sort of shoved it down our throats in Supercross and, just the way it kind of felt like the alpha beta testing stage from day one whenever they put it into the pro racing. I mean, it felt like they had no clue what they were doing with it whatsoever. So one thing I feel like they should have done was went in there and made a separate 2018 Erode Pro Racing series where they had all the same 2018 Pro Supercross and Motocross tracks. Now, obviously, with the Motocross tracks, you would have to smooth those out so you could actually have a road on it. But they could have had that like as kind of a side series and then had the main, pro racing series have it without any Erode at all. Keep it how it always has been. And they could have went in there and spent a full year testing that, having anybody that wanted to go in there and race the Erode sort of side series, and they could have tested it and still kept their original normal pro racing series in there. They could have kind of had the best of both worlds without just totally changing the game overnight. I mean, that's what it felt like they did, because if you've been playing MX Simulator for any extended amount of time, you know that you have grown up playing MX Simulator with pre-baked roughness and ruts. Like, that's how 99% of us have learned the game. That's how MX Simulator has always felt to us, because this Erode thing has always been more of a gimmicky thing. You remember back in the days when the Erode was kind of like no one really did it. I mean, it was kind of one of those things like, oh, I didn't even know MX Simulator had a terrain deformation system in it, right? I mean, it really wasn't all that long ago when that's how it was in MX Simulator, because a lot of people just didn't even play with it. I mean, it wasn't like a normal thing for you to do that. It was a very, very, gimmicky type of, like, you felt like your PC was just going to lag to complete shit if you try to go in there and use the terrain deformation system in MX Simulator. So none of us were really used to this at all. I mean, we really weren't. So when they just all of a sudden threw it in Supercross, I could see how it would sort of shy away a lot of the OG fans in that sense, and a lot of just people that just have not really played with Erode, because the way it actually makes the ruts and the roughness is very different than the way that the pre-baked ruts and roughness are. I feel like a lot of people, they look at it like, well, dude, MX Simulator, it needs to be making ruts and roughness on the track, but what you don't realize is this particular type of Erode system that's in MX Simulator does not necessarily make the type of ruts and roughness that you think it would, or that you think it should, or that it doesn't make it like the pre-baked ruts and roughness were. So that's one big thing to it right there, just the integration of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there were definitely some pretty good nights of Erode Pro Racing in this game over this past year right here. There was some decent nights where it felt halfway good, it didn't feel like too crazy, didn't feel like not enough, right? Like, it felt okay. But there was a ton of nights where it basically totally ruined the pro racing. And that's where it just, I don't know. I mean, still to this day, we went through all the Supercross, we're almost through all the motocross. It still feels like they don't really know what they're doing with it. I mean, I don't know what it is about it, but they still will change it left and right drastically, just between the 250 like Moto 1 and 450 Moto 2. You're going to have a totally different terrain deformation system, and the amount the ruts are actually being developed and the way the bumps are being developed and all that, they're still changing it. It's like you can't get used to anything. You can't figure out what they're doing with it. They change it from moto to moto. I mean, it's like shit, you run your first moto and you kind of like get it in your head, okay, I'm going to start slowing down at this lap so I don't kind of start hitting the kickers and stuff like that. You kind of get that in your head, and then the second moto, they've totally changed it to where you don't even have to slow down on that lap. They've lowered it so then everybody passes you because you're trying to ride it safe. But then if you override it in the first moto, you're going to hit 5 kickers in a row that pop up out of nowhere, and you're just going to flip over the bike. So it's this very frustrating, janky, inconsistent type of feeling that it has created here. Now, I do feel like the current Erode system in the game is way more suited towards the motocross in the game than the supercross, and I feel like that's another big thing that hurt them there at the beginning. By the way, I have this on Erode 200, not even sure if you can actually do that. I don't know if the cap is 100, whatever. It's on the absolute maximum you can have it on, so yeah, I'm having some struggles here just getting around the track and doing this video live, but yeah, it's just I could see where it would frustrate the living shit out of people, basically, is what it comes down to. I'm going to pro race regardless. I don't care. Shit, they could have anything on the track. I'm going to pro race in MX Simulator because I feel like I have a certain obligation and dedication to it to support the game in that sense. Whether or not I really want to pro race or not or whatever, I've sort of made this kind of pact in my mind to just pro race on all the North America pro racing rounds that they have in the game, regardless what kind of road they have. No matter what, I'm going to support the game in that sense. So, probably not the best guy to go to be like, oh, hey, whatever, but I can see why people are stopping pro racing in this game. I can see why they're getting frustrated with it. It's becoming more of a nuisance than a fun, new, innovative thing to them. And I think that's what has made this sort of kind of change in the way people look at it in the game. I mean, at first it was kind of like a cool thing, like, whoa, that's sick. Like, we actually have ruts in MX Simulator, but now it seems like it's for the majority of people. Now, you still have your people that love the Erode in the game, no matter what it is. They love it for whatever reason. On any track, they like it, and they feel like it, it belongs in the game. Now, hear me out right here. Okay, I'm not saying MX Simulator shouldn't have a rut system or shouldn't have a roughness type of terrain deformation system in the game. I feel like MX Simulator should have all the type of realistic things you could possibly put in a motocross game. I feel like this game should have a forced roost on there where the dirt actually flips up on the screen and you have a tear-off system. I feel like there should be a really good terrain deformation system in the game and roughness system in the game and all that. I feel like the game should have that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here trying to act like it shouldn't have that at all. I really think it should. But the terrain deformation system in MX Simulator has always sort of seemed like this thing that JLV just sort of had in there to have it in there, right? It's never really seemed like something where he went in there and dedicated a lot of time to it and tried to really make this super good type of terrain deformation system for MX Simulator. It's just never had that feeling to it. And I think that's one of those things to it that it makes it kind of feel like it's this incompleted, it can just give you the feeling of not a whole lot of time's been put into making it really good and stuff like that. And so, that's just kind of another layer of what makes it a bit more annoying to a lot of people, and I can see why it would be like that to them. But either way, I don't know where they're going to go from here with the terrain deformation in MX Simulator. I don't know if they're going to continue to do it. Not really sure. I mean, they pretty much stuck to their guns with it. Like, they haven't really kind of just been like, oh, let's just try to not do it for a round and see how many more people play the game or enjoy it or whatever. Like, they're acting as if this is here to stay forever, this current Erode system to it. And I don't know if that's the best road to go down. Not really sure. Honestly, like in 2019, I mean, I feel like they should go in there and do like what I was saying. Go in there and have your normal series, your 250, 450 Pro, Supercross, motocross with pre-baked roughness and ruts on the motocross and then a little bit on the Supercross like normal. Do it just like you always have in the past with MX Simulator. Go in there and have a normal series. See how many people join and sign up for it and want to play on that and how much fun they have with it. And then have a side series, which is not the main pro racing series of 2019. Just have a little side series where the Erode is turned on. See how many people turn up for it. See how many people go for that versus just the normal racing series, and that'll kind of give you your answer there, and it'll give you the option to really go in there and do more testing with this, try to make it better without forcing it down everybody's throats, and that's what I think they should do with it in 2019. Definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think, but I don't think it's too late for them to do that, right? I think they can go in there and have the best of both worlds for a year and see what's going on. Now, when it comes to the year after that, they're going to have to make up their mind at that point, because you can't have both. It just, you can't have both being the main pro racing series in the game. You can't have like a road and then a non-Erode for a long period of time. I feel like you can get away with it for 1 year just as a sort of testing thing, but you can't do it for any longer than that, because then it's going to be like well, hey man, I won the Erode 2019 or 2020, whatever it is, Supercross series. So I'm better than the guy that won the 2020, 2020, 2020 Vision Deals. I'm better than the guy that won the non-eroded series or whatever. It's going to become like that. So you can do it for 1 year, but once it goes past that, you got to make up your mind for it. But I'm just saying, this is all I'm trying to get out there is, there was a lot more playing it beforehand. I know you're trying to be innovative. I know you guys that are working on it are just trying to make the game better. I get it. I'm not trying to question that. I know you're just trying to push the game forward, move the game forward, but and a lot of people try to say, well, MX Simulator is just slowly dying anyways, right? That's what a lot of people try to say, and I beg to differ on that. I really do, because I feel like when it comes to a game that is as solid as MX Simulator, it's not going to die unless you come out with a better motocross simulator. That's the only way this game is going to die out. And I don't see that happening anytime soon with how good MX Simulator is. There's always going to be that sort of realm of people that want that super realistic motocross racing experience. So it's not really going to die out in that type of sense. Let's just say they just totally put away the Erode and never really went back to it. Maybe in 5 years they go in there and try to make a super good terrain deformation system in the game or something. But let's just say, the next 5 years they totally take it out of the pro racing. Well, I don't really feel like that's going to kill the game. It's not like the game's just going to slowly just, and everybody's going to quit playing it, no one's going to play it anymore. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I feel like it's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to still have innovative track designs, new tracks, better looking decals, graphics in the game is going to improve a little bit over time. You know how just the difference in 2011 MX Simulator Supercross tracks are from 2017 Supercross tracks are in the game, 2018 Supercross tracks, a pretty big difference. So, every year getting those replica tracks and just having differences within that and just the way that the design of the tracks and stuff like that, I feel like you're going to have more people playing that than you would if you try to continue with the current Erode system in the game. I feel like this needs way more improvements. Whoa, crazy moments, dog. I feel like this needs way more TLC, way more time put into. I'm talking years of time put into it before you just make it the actual full-blown series in MX Simulator. So either way, that's my 2 cents on it. I really do want to see what you guys think about this. It's an interesting topic nonetheless. I mean, it definitely changes the game, man. No doubt about it. I've rode a fairly decent amount with Erode on at this point, but another little aspect to that is the fact that even though I pro race with Erode, obviously, because that's how they pro race now, I really don't ride with Erode on any other time. That's a bizarre, you would think I would do that. I would think in my head, okay, let's try to make MX Simulator better by just turning Erode on and riding on all these custom tracks with it and, riding on just random tracks with it and all that. But I really don't ever get that feeling in my head like I want it any other time. It's kind of weird. It's It's like I play the game like old school MXM any other time unless I'm pro racing. Then I'm, having to qualify and practice with the Erode on and stuff like that. But, yeah, it's going to be hard to integrate something like this when you've got so in the way that you got to go in there and make this like super basic flat track vibed, almost feels like a stock track at the beginning to be able to have the Erode system on it. It just, I don't know, qualifying feels weird doing it with the Erode on there and stuff. So either way, we'll see what they do with it in the future. Hopefully we have any sort of pro racing in 2019 here. Really hoping that we do hoping they don't just, totally shut the doors down on it. I mean, honestly, a lot of people are saying, oh, the Erode killed MX Simulator, and even some people are saying, oh, it was already dead before that. I don't fucking believe that. That's some bullshit. MX Simulator would be doing just fine and dandy if you never put this terrain deformation system in there. It's not like it needed it. It's not like it needed this type of innovation to get more people in here or keep people coming back to it. I really don't think that. I think when you look at the full extent of everything that went down with it, if anything, it's just hurt the game a little bit as far as numbers wise and people that's playing it and stuff like that. Definitely hasn't revamped the game, re-innovated, made a ton of people want to start playing it that weren't already playing it. It's really not done that to it. So it's just all in kind of how you look at it there. But I just think they need to do, like I was saying, just do a full year of testing it alongside the regular pro racing and MX Simulator, and then just see, that'll kind of give you your answer right there. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.